you just give us a, by the way, if I have to cut you off, Robert, we've got Jensen Huang and Alex Karp kind of, I'm sure you've heard of AI. I don't know if that's, by the way, does AI, we're going to wrap right there? Okay. I thought it was a good interview. Robert Plum, CEO of Cytokinetics. Welcome to live TV, by the way.
All good.
That was a good interview. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. We shall now go to Washington, D.C. and the aforementioned Jensen Huang, Alex Karp, and Christina Parzinelli.
And I'm just going to piggyback off of that conversation, Brian. We're talking about AI and an important collaboration between Palantir and NVIDIA. The fact that they're joining forces not to just analyze data, but actually to provide business decisions. And Alex, I'm actually going to start with you, the CEO of Palantir, just to explain, does that mean no human intervention? Can you just explain how this would work and use Lowe's as an example?
Well, first of all, I'm delighted to be on the stage with what many people I believe to be one of the great entrepreneurs of my lifetime and a patriot. And it means a lot to me to be here. So we have a product called Ontology. You could think of it as essentially a digital representative of your enterprise, including security model, which essentially takes the disabilities out of large language models and allows you to move decision making to the front line with people, without people, depending on how you're doing it. In the context of Lowe's and other enterprises, it allows you to essentially automate decision-making, like how would your supply chain work, how would it work if it changed, how do you get the cheapest good to the right place, given that there may be disruption. But in general, what's very, very special, I believe, about our partnership is we're going to be able to move 2x, and I think in the future even faster. So you get a much, much faster, and actually because you can control it in a more granular way, much faster, much cheaper. And then the macro thing that I'm actually most excited about, which for our country, is because of that, you can do manufacturing in America, you can make the workers stronger and better, and you have more competition because you can use open weight models, open source models. You can use any hyperscaler. You can decide not to use a hyperscaler. This is much, much better for America, much better for workers, much better for industry. It's cheaper, it's faster, and obviously they have one of the world's top tech teams, and we work very well with them.
So Jensen, just in regards to that collaboration, then who would actually be procuring the hardware? Is this like a company like Lowe's? Do they have to put the upfront cost, with their existing GPUs and then working with Palantir? Is that how it works? Or?
First of all, it's amazing to think that the Palantir Ontology platform has achieved all of this, and they're the fastest enterprise growing platform in the world. In a lot of ways, it gives enterprises what we all want, which is intelligence and the ability to make good decisions fast. And now we're going to supercharge it with NVIDIA's accelerated computing for the first time. And so NVIDIA's CUDA accelerated computing is going to get integrated. We're going to be able to put NVIDIA's AI libraries on top of that and open source model that we're working on together into the Ontology platform. And you'll run it in the cloud, any cloud, or you run it on-prem or even in a private cloud. And so, as you know, NVIDIA runs everywhere. And so you could buy a server from HP or Dell. You could be in another country and you want to set up your own private cloud. We got no trouble with that. And so it doesn't matter. We run everywhere. And Palantir runs everywhere.
But you're talking about the future then. So this isn't something that would be accretive to revenues just in the near term. You're still working it out. And like, I know Lowe's is an example, but are there other customers?
Well, at Palantir, we just do what's best for our customers. We work downstream for value creation. So we believe, we know when it's faster, better, more accurate, and more flexible, and creates a better future for them because they can choose how they want to run their applications. We'll do very well. And at Palantir, we're doing very well in revenue and profit, and that's not actually our primary motivation now. And the reason we've done so well on profit and on growth is because you just have to create value. This creates more value for the end user.
But you just said before, too, that the human may not even be involved with some of these decisions. And I guess that is a major concern in this day and age, that AI efficiencies could take away from or displace the job force. So couldn't something like this collaboration do that?
It's interesting. When you say humans don't have to be in the loop, that doesn't inherently mean there aren't cases where humans need to be in the loop. For example, 40 years ago, we had 40x more manufacturing jobs than we have now. So it's like you can make more manufacturing jobs, which are humans, working class humans. You can build things you couldn't build in the past. Those humans become more and more valuable than they were in the past. In the defense context, you have situations where humans have to be in the loop, offense, situations where humans shouldn't be in the loop, like defense. Our collaboration makes all those use cases better. for workers, for manufacturing, for defense, for offense, and in general because it allows people to use any kind of model, any kind of compute structure. It makes America stronger and better.
Whenever a business is more productive, whenever they can move faster, their business grows. They hire more people, and so I think this idea that AI is going to take jobs is going to change everyone's job. That's for sure. But I think it's going to make companies more productive. We're more productive today because of AI. We're hiring more people.
I know, and we saw some leaders of smaller companies, startups that have been around for just 3 years, valuations of $39 billion, 400 employees, and clearly that is a beneficiary of using AI. But I wonder, with your proximity to the White House right now, you're here quite often. Is that a concern that you're hearing from them? Like, what about the workers? We have to make sure that we're not displacing them. And is there anything that you guys are, NVIDIA in particular, is doing with the White House?
Look at what President Trump is doing. The first thing, my first phone call, my first meeting with them, it's manufacturing in America. Move manufacturing back to the United States. Creates tons of jobs. If we could move manufacturing, the core technology, we have better security, national security, we have create more jobs. Second, because we're talking about the AI industrial revolution, all of these AI factories creates a ton of jobs. And so he's really in the job creation mode, bringing manufacturing back to the United States. And
AI is exceedingly good for working class workers. Now you could argue, is it good for consultants and people? That's a very different debate. But you're going to see remanufacturing. How would you build a culturally specific enterprise like we power Panasonic batteries? It's like you're building something that otherwise would have had to be built in Japan. Now you can build it in America. You can train the workers so that they can behave like Japanese engineers. That's all AI augmentation. And by the way, the workers are more valuable, and just like us, they get paid more because they're more valuable.
Everybody knows how to use an AI because AI is smart. And so AI is the first technology that has closed the technology divide. Everybody who didn't know how to program computers in the past, they know exactly how to program a computer now. It's called AI.
But for the workforce in general, trying to learn all of that, it does take time. So do you think that maybe we're overestimating the benefits of this AI build-out in the near term, which is reflected in the markets?
I'm going to push back on this narrative. It's not. First of all, AI makes America the dominant country in the world. So just start there. Every other country in the world, like I spent half my life in Europe, they're whining and crying, and it's like we have the right chips, we have the right software, we have the right engineers, we have the right culture, we have the right people.
The risk appetite.
Risk appetite, right people to ask questions. The whole thing is combining to become a juggernaut. And then these partnerships happen, and that just throws gasoline on the fire. So the real question is, will the GDP growth accrue to all Americans or just wealthy Americans? And the answer to that is, it depends what you do. But I deeply believe, I think we deeply believe.
Then.
Well, no, manufacturing jobs.
If you build manufacturing jobs, which is what this president wants to do, can you build them? Yes. How do you build them? You need AI. Can you train the people? Can you upscale them? Yes, if you use
mechanicals,
AI.
Electricals, and plumbers and construction.
Power. And that, I know the red tape, you've discussed it, but nuclear reactors.
The number one thing of this administration is pro-power growth. Look at all the power generations that he's approved. Look at all the DOE land and energy they've approved. I mean, this is a pro-energy growth administration, pro-manufacturing administration, and President Trump is pro-jobs. When these things all come together, yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Is that why you said "Make America Great Again"? That's the first time I've heard you say that at the end of a speech for GTC.
Well, I was thanking everybody in the room. I mean, look.
But was that also a communication to the president? Because you were expecting him here, right?
No, he's in Asia.
I know, but I thought you had said on an earlier panel that you were expecting.
Well, I think we're making America great again. I think all of his policies relating to energy and manufacturing and all of his enthusiasm behind artificial intelligence and making sure that American AI technology is the standard of the world, that it's diffused maximally, and making sure that the rest of the world has the benefit of American technology so they can build on top of it. All of that's fantastic.
And Alex, do you feel like any outcomes for the end of this week? I know you're heading, to Asia right after this. Do you feel like there could be a more positive outcome from the trade talks? Because it seems like the market's perceiving that. All of the CEOs I've spoken to at this event too are very, very bullish that there might be some good news. So maybe you guys both know something that we don't, that you could share.
And we're going to tell you.
Yes, now on TV. Why not?
Look, I don't want to just make this about our partnership, but if you already have a dominant position, a profitable position, a position that is growing in both cases in a kind of way that is not what people have seen in the past. And you somehow create more value for your customers. That is incredible for our customers, it's incredible for our country, and it's not so bad for us.
And Palantir is the most technically deep enterprise platform company in the world. And this collaboration is just going to supercharge that.
And I will end it, but I did ask about China. So is there any way that you believe that you're going to be getting grants for licenses? Or?
Well, you know, I think the important thing to take away is that we need to win developers all over the world. And there's so many open source developers in China. I think it's a mistake not to have them build on American tech. So that's number one. Number two, we all agree that we want America to win. The only question is what's our strategy in doing so. And one of the best frameworks that I've heard is David Sachs talking about, imagine 5 years from now, where do we want, suppose American technology was around the world, where do we want American technology market share to be? Do you want it to be 80%? Do you want it to be 20%? And he believes, and as I believe, that we want the world to be built on American tech standards. We want the same thing that happened in the good old days when we first started wireless technology, and it's no longer built on American standards. And we really want to go back to those days, and AI is ours to lose. Just as Alex was talking about earlier, we have the chips, we have the infrastructure, we have the technology, we have the models, we have the people. This is ours, and we will have the power. This is ours to lose, and we just got to get on top of it and make it happen.
And you believe that is going to happen, that the tides are changing and the relationships with other countries are working out quite well, including China. And so is that something that you're telling me right now?
That's something that only the president could solve. And if there's anybody who could solve it, I'm certain the president will be the one to do it.
We're just building technology.
Yeah.
We're building technology. We want to be in the strongest position we can be in. And we're repped by a president who seems to be extraordinarily good at figuring out how to make deals. You saw the peace treaty in the Middle East, which I don't think anyone else could have done. You've seen that number. You saw, in my humble opinion, you see what happened with his reactions abroad, including his sanctioning of our response to Iran. And we're in the factory building the best tools in the world, and that should give everyone an
the important
advantage.
thing is China is out of NVIDIA's forecasts. If anything happens,
I know, you said zero, right?
It's zero, and if the president pulls out a miracle, and it'll just be a bonus for the country.
And a bonus for a lot of investors who are very excited about how your share price has both of you. And I'd like to end on that positive note. Thank you guys for joining us, and we thank you. Brian, back over to you on CNBC.
Christina Partsinevelos with Jensen Huang and Palantir's Alex Karp out in Washington, D.C. Number of headlines being made there. In fact, you heard Jensen Huang say not only make America great again, but he talked about we have the most pro-growth energy White House in a while. He talked about NVIDIA still hiring. And I think the line of the interview was Jensen Huang referring to the, quote, AI industrial revolution leading to a lot of jobs. That was kind of a very pro-growth, pro-AI, pro-job, pro-America conversation. All right, joining us now on set to talk about some other news, AI related. We got Amazon, we got some OpenAI, Microsoft news as well. Mackenzie Sigalos. Mackenzie, we'll get to the Amazon stuff, get to the OpenAI stuff, because they made some comments about energy as well. But as somebody who covers this stuff every single day, anything you heard that sort of takes us into a new track? Or is it stuff we've heard about NVIDIA's business prospects prior?
I feel like this is the latest example of NVIDIA leaning into this tech conglomerate playbook. Think about some of the investments they've made lately. $100 billion into OpenAI over the next few years. They're investing $5 billion into their rival Intel, but also taking a $500 million stake in a self-driverless car startup. I mean, they're just really expanding the scope of what their business model is. And with NVIDIA, they've now got new rivals in the chip business. Google has their TPU, their in-house silicon. Amazon's trying to build a rival as well.
When I woke up this morning and turned on CNBC and watched Jim and David and others talking, I was walking on the street, I saw Lisa Su of Advanced Micro Devices, right? And I knew that Jensen was giving a speech today at the NVIDIA Developers Conference or GPU conference in DC, and I thought, this is not just an AI arms race, it's a PR arms race, it's a money race, right? All these companies, in many ways, are competing for the same investor dollar, I think. Yes or no?
I mean, they're all looking to capture part of that OpenAI halo. You mentioned AMD and NVIDIA and Broadcom. Think about the kind of price surges we've seen in the public markets off the back of a single announcement about a relationship with OpenAI that's forming, whether that's an equity stake or commitment to build new compute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had one with Nokia today. NVIDIA takes a stake in Nokia. We haven't talked about Nokia in years, and the stock is absolutely rocketing higher. At pretty much at the same time this occurred, Sam Altman of OpenAI, I guess he's probably the most powerful man in technology in America, if it's not Jensen Huang, was making comments about building out the power base, something we talked about with Interior Secretary Burgum moments ago. I know you were here. You were sort of monitoring that. What did Sam Altman say?
So we had this live stream, and it was off the back of the news that they've finalized terms of their commercial agreement with Microsoft, but the conversation veered towards his infrastructure ambitions, and he said two very interesting things. So one, they've committed to 33 gigawatts of compute, and the best way to think about that is each gigawatt is what the equivalent of one nuclear reactor that it would take to power it, or 750,000 homes. And what he said is that the industry standard today is $50 billion roughly to build out a gigawatt of compute. Yes. He wants to get it down to 20 billion. That is an ambitious.
I want a unicorn and a pony. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Sam Altman, to me, and you don't have to comment on this. You know, he's making comments about energy, which are great. He recognizes the demand for energy, which is great. But is anybody pushing back on this and saying, well, is this possible? Because that's not something that's necessarily in his control. All due respect to Sam Altman, he doesn't build nuclear power plants, at least not yet.
He's getting into the business of building chips with Broadcom. They signed a $10 billion deal there. He's diversifying his chip exposure with AMD, with NVIDIA. We'll see if they ultimately decide to sign with AWS. But he's controlling what he can control. And so he's also had this open call to infrastructure providers across North America. 800 bids have come in to offer him a mix of power sources to make this reality.
Did you say ultimately or ultimately? Because I feel like it's it might be Sam ultimately. We're going to do this. We'll see if he can actually now control energy very quickly. OpenAI had a restructuring.
Yes.
It involves Microsoft. I'm not going to pretend to understand what the story is. What's the story?
To me, it's a win for Microsoft. So we finalized terms of both their commercial agreement and then also Microsoft's equity stake. That's 27%, largest single shareholder in the company. Think about the return that Microsoft has. Its stake is worth $135 billion. They invested $13 billion into OpenAI. That's a pretty impressive return over that space of time. They retain a lot of IP rights and that 20% revenue share. So a lot of wins for Microsoft here. Okay, a lot of stuff there. We appreciate you also rolling with the headlines coming off the NVIDIA and Palantir interview as well. Mackenzie Sigalos, thank you very much. She was going to talk about Amazon. They had some layoff announcements today. So did UPS. Stocks up. We'll get more behind the story. It's next.